Cointelegraph magazine, another tweet here. It's called Our Metaverse. The rebranding of Facebook into Meta kickstarted the discussion of virtual communities. What defines them, and more importantly, who owns them? Can one single company claim to be the sole proprietor of online worlds?
Hearing a
nice
narrative, right?
Yeah,
Hearing a narrative.
they're starting to spin the narrative, and it's so nice to see these the established media outlets start to address this point, and they're addressing it from the point of view that they can control the narrative. Whereas in reality, if they did a little bit of research on Hive, they'd realize their narrative is already long written and resolved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see that. I don't even remember making this comment, but I see I made a comment. Didn't get any likes, so it must not be very popular. But I was just saying you need a distributed account system. You can use community DAOs for funding, and then you need to have an incentive layer to pay for and host the infrastructure. That's how you know who owns it. You want to know who owns the metaverse, who stores it. If it has governance, who owns the governance tokens and mass? Was there a pre-mine? This question is very easily answered if you ask the right questions. It's really 3 questions. Who hosts it? Was there a pre-mine in the governance? And is it self-sustaining via an incentive model? Or is it a bring your own node approach where you just expect people to be benevolent or rely on just businesses who trust third-party partners? So, yeah, those are the 3 ones. Is it incentivized by a decentralized funding mechanism? Who hosts the infrastructure? Is it one person or is it many? Is it distributed peer-to-peer? And then if it has governance, which if it's a layer 1, it has to have governance. This whole idea of removing coin voting, removing governance, and having an ordained 10-commandment blockchain that never changes. And if you want to change it, you could talk about it on Reddit or Twitter. Those are the 3 questions to ask. Facebook owns the metaverse. That's an easy one. Their metaverse. For sure.
I mean, let's talk about Reddit as well. Doing this, Reddit are going to create. They've said they're going to do on a decentralized protocol. They're going to create communities and they're going to tokenize the communities. But then it's like, well, yeah, but how can you create communities on Reddit? How do you do that? And who lets you do that? And do they delete communities? Yes. Do they need to retain the power to do that in their own minds? Yes. So if your token starts to fund something that doesn't suit their narrative, it's going to go missing. And of course, in the sign-up part, it will say we are allowed to take your tokens whenever we like. I'm pretty sure that's the way it's going to go. Otherwise, how do they control?
It has to be. It has to 100%. Any centralized business has to have KYC, complete control over their values, because one day there's going to be 20 babies' lives on the line, and they don't want to have to say, oh, well, we can't stop that value transfer. Government, sorry, they're not going to want that. So you have to have lawless code. You have to have unregulatable code like on Hive in order to have true tokenized communities. That's why I'm super bullish on Hive, because I know it can't be replicated by Web 2. And that's amazing. That's a walled garden, that decentralization we have that can't be bought or replicated by Web 2. That is vastly, vastly important in my opinion.
For sure. Exciting times. I think this is all super interesting stuff, and I can't wait to see this. I think it's all going to play out a lot quicker than we expected. When I've spoken about this in the past, I felt like I've been 3-4 years down the line. So I'm just kind of ahead of where this is moving. I'm not really sure. And now it feels like it's starting to happen. This next year might be a real. I mean, you've got the Bitcoin narrative playing out the Bitcoin story, but that's not really. That's only a part of it. This whole Web3 takeover now that's coming in, and the narrative of Web 2, Web 3 is actually really Web 2 because all the guys that are involved in it are putting money in their pockets and everything like this. There's going to be a few solemn examples of a real Web 3 ecosystem, and that's going to play out. It's going to play out quicker than we think, I think.